Alrighty, folks, let's continue with Yarn Slingers.
Next up, I'm happy to introduce Mark Dunau.
I've only had an employer once. That was in 1976 as a playwright for an experimental theater company in New Orleans. My payment was $50 a week. I had helped write a grant to the National Science Foundation for a play about science based on the invention of clear and colorless glass in Venice in the 15th century. Amongst other changes, this invention led to the telescope, microscope, mirrors, and light in the homes through the mass production of glass windows, generally upending the framing of European thought and life, from the discovery that the Earth was not the center of the universe to a new focus on self, as evidenced by an explosion of self-portraits through mirrors. Amazingly, we received the NSF grant and successive grants to tour the play in most of the science and technology museums of the United States. Part of my reward for my singular employment was a modest royalty, which I used to travel for 13 months in Asia. Which brings me to India, in a small village in the remote part of Rajasthan, where I was the first white visitor since the British had left in 1948. The color of the villages of this light-infused and arid land astonished me. The women dressed in 6 basic colors: bright red, blue, orange, yellow, green, and fuchsia. They each wore a skirt, blouse, and billowing shawl headdress, and were usually brilliant in at least 2 of these colors. The men dressed in all white, often capped with a bright pink, yellow, orange, scarlet, or white turban. Guided through the village by the elderly feudal lord Ugrasen, penniless and nearly landless except for his falling down castle, I was welcomed into the homes of the villagers. We took daily walking tours, and through Ugrasen's English and good cheer, I was introduced to the large and diverse personalities of men with caste-assigned jobs that included camel herders, carpenters, teacher, tailor, miller, liquor merchants, and astrologist. I often had a chai with the Jat men and came to admire the bracelets that they wore. I asked the eldest son of the goldsmiths if he would make this silver bracelet for me. We had become friends, and he replied through Ugrasen that only farmers wore this bracelet. I said I had never put a seed in the ground and didn't care. So that night, over flaming dry buffalo dung, which was further heated by blowing through a straw over its flames, this master craftsman fashioned me this bracelet. It's never left my arm. Now, 45 years later, I've been a self-employed farmer for 32 years. My odd jobs for this light-filled employment start in the spring with the filling of greenhouses with thousands of transplants, bringing the tractor up to stuff, repairing electric fence to keep out the deer, procuring compost and organic fertilizer, placing and getting the water pump working, running irrigation hose, transplanting by hand thousands of plants every 3 weeks, direct seeding thousands of more plants on a 2-week schedule, for 6 months covering and uncovering fields with row covers, weeding and weeding, lining up customers and their weekly orders, harvesting and packing for deliveries that have taken me the equivalent of 12 times around the earth. This is nowhere near all the odd jobs of my agricultural life, not to mention growing the working relationship with my farmer wife and children, and over the years, teaching more than 30 interns how to farm. Overall, it's an odd job, brutal and beautiful, relentlessly problem-solving, outlined by nature, which does not care about our politics or personal problems, but offers myriad gifts. How did I get here? I think my goldsmith friend was warning me when he said that only farmers wore this bracelet. Perhaps my scientific mind was too rational to believe that the beauty of a bracelet would lead to a farm. The village where this bracelet was born had no glass windows, only shutters. There's no one way to see the light.